Oh, man.
I think there are a lot of videos out there about SMART goals.
Right.
You know, it depends on which one you go with, significant or more likely specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and trackable.
Mm-hmm.
Do you use that format with your goals? Or is it just something that's you just don't pay attention to, or that is so ingrained in you, it's just kind of how you write goals? Or again, if we're not writing goals, which sounds like written goals are a bit of a challenge.
Mm-hmm.
Do you use that format?
Absolutely not. No, but
Okay.
I also think you have to have that crazy God goal. You know,
Yeah.
you have to
Yeah.
have those crazy goals that, all right, if God's going to provide, He's going to provide big.
Yeah.
You know, and have that prayer and to have that dangerous prayer and kind of be careful with those because He may answer it.
Yeah.
And but in that, you know, is that where He wants you? If He's going to bless you, He's going to bless you big. So why not have that crazy goal of out there, and why make sure that it's attainable? Because God doesn't live in a box, and God doesn't, you know, God doesn't have a constraint. And if it's in His will, He's going to make it happen, regardless of if it makes sense in our worldly view. So yeah, I mean, do you want to have an attainable goal? We probably need to have attainable goal. I guess I'll rephrase. We need to have attainable goals because that's just how we are as humans. We need to see the progress and the wins and the successes and celebrate that. And to be able to, there's certain good stuff about putting a check mark next to an attainable goal of actually making it happen. So I think you need to have a healthy balance of both, and not just all crazy ideas, but you need to whittle that down and go, okay, well, here's my crazy idea list, and here's my real list.
Yeah.
You know, and
Well, that S as significant would imply this is bigger than me.
right.
This is significant. This is huge.
Mm-hmm.
Or specific. My thought pattern is measurable gives me the specific. So significant is one of the things out there.
Mm-hmm.
And that could be part of that whole, it's got to be bigger than us.
Right.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Right?
And by whose measurement?
And by whose
By
measurement?
whose measurement.
What do you mean by that?
So the more I sit here and think about like goals, I think of we all have one goal. Well, we probably all have a couple goals, but Jesus gave us a goal. To love your neighbor as yourself. So if we start there with that goal of loving your neighbor, for some of us, who's your closest neighbor? Your closest neighbor lives in your house.
Very good. Very good.
Right.
Yep.
Your closest,
Lord help us.
for some of us, your closest
Yep.
neighbors live in your house.
Yep.
For others of us, who's your neighbor? But he went on not to just talk about our neighbors. He said to love our enemies. There's a goal.
All right.
Not always attainable,
Yeah.
It's a challenge, yeah.
but challenging. And how do we measure those things?
Yeah.
So, again, not always written, not always, but but they're goals at the same time when you start to think about them. And like I said, where do they fall in? Are they spiritual goals? Are they emotional goals? Are they physical goals? And if my focus is there, and I think that's the challenge. I think sometimes that's the challenge with some of our goals. Is how focused do we get just on those goals?
Meaning,
do I get so narrow focused that my business goal is my I can tell you at a young age, as a young whippersnapper, to use old terms, my goal was, hey, to make as much money as I possibly can for my family, to raise my family, and to do this. And and I could get very narrow focused on, hey, this is it. And I wasn't necessarily, I knew who Jesus was. I knew probably that I wanted to follow him, but I didn't know how to follow, and I didn't, or I was scared. I look at the world today and say, whoo, man, we thought we had it rough growing up and some of the things we dealt with. And then we look at today and we talk about our kids and how they're growing up, and it's like, man, okay, but I might have been scared as a kid to follow Christ in the way that I needed to follow Christ, right? And so my focus was way less on my spiritual, emotional goals than it was on my physical and financial business goals of, hey, this is where, like I said, this is where I want to take my family, and I want to, this is what I want to do, and I want to be a baseball player, or a basketball player, whatever. And so they were way more physical, financial, personal achievement goals versus now way more thinking about, man, the goal he gave us was to go make disciples. He gave us the goal to love our neighbor. And so then it becomes, when we talk about like how do we measure that, goes back to, well, he says we'll measure it by their fruit. Which again goes, what's that measurable? What's that look like?
It's also interesting that it means it is measurable.
Absolutely.
So that's, for some of us, you know, you'll never know. You can tell.
Oh yeah,
there is fruit that can be measured.
Right.
Yeah.
And so that's significant that you can, because some of us do just say, how can you really know? And I understand.
You know,
just because I do A, B, C, and D doesn't mean I'm really following Christ's heart.
Absolutely.
You know?
Yeah.
So that's why it's more than just Bible reading, etc. It's how do I measure my heart? And to some degree, that's very difficult. I'm not saying that's easy, etc. I'm not saying I've got it under control. But okay, there is fruit that can be measured. You know?
Absolutely.
And what does it look like to love my neighbor, etc.
Yeah.
Those kind of things.
Who helps you measure?
Yeah.
Who helps you? Who helps you?
My thought immediately goes to my wife. Oops.
That's
Sorry,
an
sweetheart.
excellent place to get some feedback.
Ooh. Yeah. Okay. Anything else you want to add to the conversation? Because
I don't know. This is good. This is good stuff. I hope it sparks some thoughts in people.
Right.
I really and for someone to watch this and go, wow, yeah, I feel all three of those guys. You know, a little bit of each of them in my life, and where do I need to make changes, because I've realized changes that I can pull off of these two guys that I meet with weekly, you know, and more that I need to lean into, because I think that's why we work as a trio. We bring different values, and you know, who's your trio?
yeah.
And I think, how often are you, to some degree, how often are you reviewing those goals?
Yeah, and sharing them,
And to a certain degree, like I said, I mean, it's I go back to like the main reviewer of my goals should be Christ,
right?
Yes. Yeah.
And hopefully, like I said, focused on His will in my life and what that looks like. But I have people in my life. I have these two gentlemen in my life. I have, to Dave's point, I have my wife.
I know you meet with other guys
I
as
have
well.
other guys that I meet
Right.
with.
Yeah.
I have the men that
And I do as well.
I was gonna say the two men that I work for. I consider, like I said, people that are godly men that feed into my life, that we've talked about. Like I said, you can sit with and have conversations with and talk about things that are going on in your life, and occasionally it's the focus of, while it may not be, hey, the 4 goals that you wrote down,
Right.
are they talking about the goals that you've set forth in your life, where it's business, spiritual, emotional, physical, and those things all seem to always come up, and always, hey, reflect on where am I with those things in my life on
Yeah.
a consistent basis.
And we may need to come back and visit this again and talk about those areas, just more specific.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah. Well, if you're finding value in the video, please click like, subscribe, and click on that bell for notifications when the next one comes out. Comment below. I'll communicate with Carey and Brian, and we'll try to answer the questions you have if you have
Yep.
any. And I look at those and try to answer every comment. So please comment below and
Definitely.
let us know what you're thinking, what questions you might have. Well, a little reminder, Philippians 3:12 was the memory verse we did last week. Not that I've already obtained all this or have arrived at my goal, but I press on to take hold of that for which Christ Jesus took hold of me. Philippians 3:12. We'll continue to review that. It seems to fit well with the topic. And thank you for watching. Especially if you're still watching, thank you very much. You've persevered.
Right.
Maybe that's your goal, finish all the YouTube videos. No, that's not your goal. Never mind. All right. Thank you. Until we meet again, God bless you. May it be so. Good job.
Thank you. Great questions.
Yeah.
More.
You need some makeup. I look while washing.
We'll try and tone it down a bit.
That's so
You
white.
don't have a remote control for this bad boy?
I have no remote control.
That's great
I'm not that
editing
sophisticated.
skills. Great editing
So
skills.
the red dot means it's recording.
Got it.
Oh, it's recording?
Yeah.
Recording.
So
This,
do you,
You're gonna
so this,
edit
this
this.
will all be.
do you
Yes,
splice
I will
these
edit
tapes?
this.
Do you splice these tapes? Like, do you, like, yeah, you'll cut some stuff out?
Yep.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure some of this is going to make the highlight reel later on.
You
Just
should
do
do
that.
that.
I
You
wish
should do the
I
highlight.
don't do highlight reels, but I got to on this one. I ought to do a highlight reel on this one.
This is what you're going to end with.
Yeah.
You're like, all right.
Well,
See, I just gave you that.
you are awesome. We'll run through this. I'll
Carey,
go a
come my way just a little bit so Dave can slide over so he's...
Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
The middle.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't want you out of your own video.
Okay. We'll run through this. And if you say something you really don't like, just stop and say, let me try that again.
Got it.
Because it can get edited out.
Yep.
Blended together pretty well. Are we ready?
No, but let's do it anyway.
That's good. Anyway.
I should have wore a different sweatshirt.
Yeah, you're fine. I thought maybe he'd come in with blades and you'd come in with, your diesel shop shirt.
No, just
Just
supporting friends that no longer pull.
Oh. Okay. All right, let's try this.
Don't mind. Don't mind.
Let's try this. Here we go.